So the first question is, would you like to participate in this new program that we're starting at the university, where we basically take the GPA from anybody who gets above a 3.5 and redistribute it to low-income students who have problems studying, and hopefully that'll help them to get a better job in the future and overcome the challenges that they're here. And so the question is, would you like to participate in this program?
So you lower the grades of the people who have 3.5s or over?
Yeah, we basically redistribute the grade of people who are doing very well with GPA and give it to people who are not doing very well, but for economics or other reasons.
No, I don't think that. I don't think so. I don't think that should. I'm not on board with that.
Well, why?
I think that other programs should be maybe put in place for those people who are not doing as well to help them out. But I don't think that it should necessarily come at the direct expense of the people who got the good grades in the first place. But I think maybe more should be done to help them out, but not in that way. I don't think that's particularly fair to take points and give it to someone else.
Okay, so how do you feel about taxation, in the sense that the people who earn a lot of money are taxed more than people who do less? Do you think that applies?
I think I don't know if it's the same. I think because I think the grade point average that you have now is going to help you make more money. So I feel like since money is kind of the final stage, you already have that much money, you're not going to do much more with that. So maybe I would say I'd be more open to them redistributing wealth than redistributing grades, because I think the grades are kind of helping you make the wealth, and the wealth is kind of just the end stage. So yeah, but
what would you say to the objection of people who make larger amount of money, similar to people who make more GPA? They would rather keep it.
I don't know. I think it's a very complex point. I don't know. I mean, I think to a degree they should be able to. I think maybe there should be a cap on it. You can only take up to so many dollars, but I think there should be some redistribution, but not too crazy, because I agree. It's because they did earn it. It's their money, so it's hard to say. This
new program in the school, which basically takes the GPA for people who make above 3.5 and redistribute it to people who have socioeconomic problems and cannot make very good grades in school, in order to keep them within the school system. We know they have the capacity, but because of their backgrounds, they're not able to do very good. And the question is, would you be in favor of such a system?
I think it would make a lot more sense to address the problem more directly. If you're saying that there are socioeconomic problems that are causing this, it would make a lot more sense to address the socioeconomic problems.
Right. There's some programs in place for that, but the current programs in place have not been able to do enough. And so, the core of the question is, would you like to participate on this system? If you made above a certain amount of GPA, too much GPA, you redistribute it to people who do not do very well.
If it was done in a fair, transparent, and equitable way universally, I could potentially support that. Okay.
And what would you say to people who would refuse to give if you have 3.6, you'd rather keep it than give it to somebody else? Which,
right,
assuming that they deserve it, right? Meaning that that the only reason they're not able to stay within the university is because of socioeconomic problems.
What would I say to the people who oppose this system? I don't know if I would necessarily be out strongly advocating for it, but I would be willing to tacitly support it, I think.
Do you feel similar to taxes? What do you think about taxing people who do very well off in order to help people who for socioeconomic reasons are not able to earn a living income?
I feel like taxes inherently operate on a fundamentally different scale than grades do. I think with taxes you're going through and you're saying that as a government and a society you want the state to provide certain services to its citizens, whereas I feel like by redistributing grades you're not necessarily inherently providing a benefit to other people as you would in going through providing, welfare systems, unemployment, health insurance, and those kind of things.
Well, I guess the key is that this GPA program is a form of a welfare system in which you help people who need it. And I guess the question would apply to here. What would you say to people who rather keep the money instead of redistributing it to lower income levels of society?
It comes down to a question of what kind of society do you want to live in, and I think that overall it's better to live in a society where there is a certain degree of equality and that you're able to maintain a higher standard of living for everyone, even though you might not have as many people in the super rich category.
And if I could push you one step farther, it's like the way that you reason it is, from my perspective, that's the kind of society that you want to live in. But they're already well off, and they just don't want to not be well off or as well off that they currently are. So from their perspective, they're above that. Like they don't care about whether the general population is one income or the other. Like they believe they earned their money and they want to keep it. What would you say as a moral reasoning? Why should they do they have a standing to want to keep their wealth, or does society have a good reason to be taking it away from them?
I haven't gone through and formulated this in moral imperatives. And if I was to do so, I would need a bit of time to figure that out.
No, it's totally fair. I'm here to enroll you into a program at the university that basically takes GPA from people who make above 3.5 and redistributes to that GPA to people who are not doing very well at the university because of socioeconomic reasons. So they're really smart students, but because of problems at home or problems in their environment, they cannot make very good grades. So we're trying to help them out by taking GPA from people who are doing very well off. Maybe do not necessarily need it to do, well in the workforce. And the question is if you would like to be part of this program.
So would that take away from my GPA?
Well, you have a good GPA?
So I would, probably not.
You have above 3.0, 3.2. We'll take part of your GPA and give it to people who are doing it.
I would not want to be part of that.
Okay. Why would you not want to be part of it?
Because even though I would feel bad that people, I don't know, that's so difficult. Because I wouldn't want to take away from my own GPA. I'd want to help them another way. Be like, maybe I can help you study, but I wouldn't want to just give up my GPA to give it to someone else, because it's not that we don't work hard for our GPAs.
All right. Yeah, and follow-up question is, do you think that it is fair to take taxes disproportionately from people who are doing very well off to help people who are not doing very well in society?
Oh, it's so difficult because, yes, I do. I do think that's fair.
Okay.
But now you've kind of caught me. I don't know. Because what I want to say is that, hey, I have, more of an emotional connection to my grades than my money. Because, I feel a lot more comfortable donating money than my grades, because I don't know if I don't know if grades are personal, but I don't know why I feel that way, but that's how I feel.
Okay. What would you say to people who make a lot of money that say I earned it, I'd rather keep it? Do you think that the society is justified taking it away in the same sense?
I understand their point of view.
Okay.
But I would also maybe urge them to think about how much of it they actually need. If you're living in excess and you can afford a yacht and a fancy vacation, those aren't things you need, and yes, you earn that money, but maybe think of proportionally how much of it you need to be using and how much of it you can spare.
And if even after hearing that plea, they would still want to keep it. What would you?
Well, that's their decision, but
would they be wrong?
I guess it's so difficult after the GPA question. Maybe if I had a 4.0 and I would drop it to a 3.8, then I could do it. Or if I had some excessive GPA, but probably not with my current GPA.
Right. No, I hear you. But I guess the question is how will you feel for other people? The idea is, will you sign up for this program not only for yourself, but for other people? Some other people who have a 4.0 and wants to keep it.
Well, my problem with the question is how can we determine that people have low GPAs for reasons outside of their control? I feel everyone has some degree of control over but then I feel like a dick because in the money situation,
Right.
people say that, and I'm like, no, they really don't.
Yeah,
So
it's supposed to be that way.
So caught. Yeah, that's the point. You did a good job.
So, basically, I'm here to enroll you into a program in the university and ask you whether you like it or not, and whether you want to enter or not into this program.
Okay.
Basically, what it does, it takes people with high GPAs and redistributes it to people who, for socioeconomic reasons, are not doing very well at university. They have the capacity, but in order to keep them in the university, we want to take GPAs from people who are doing very well to keep them within the system. And so the question is, would you like to participate in this program? And, whether you want to or not, what do you think about the program?
So I would be sharing my GPA.
You have a 4.0. There's somebody who has, a 2.0 or a very low GPA. In order to keep him in the university, we're going to take a fraction of your GPA, a few points, or 3 fractions of a point, and we're going to give it to people for only socioeconomic reasons who cannot, study. They have to work and study at the same time. Trying to help them out. Would you like to participate? Would you be willing to give a fraction of your GPA to help people out?
So I wouldn't be able to say I have a 4.0 anymore. I would have to say I have a. If you took a
Exactly.
If
You
you took
could-
0.5
yeah,
out
you
of my
couldn't
GPA,
lie.
I would have to say I have a 3.5
Yes.
GPA, and the other person would have a 2.5
Yes,
GPA.
exactly.
Would I participate in that? That's not an easy question to answer.
And take your time, no pressure.
I want to be honest with you. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I think the nice answer is yes, but would I really actually do that? I think I would want to know the individual who I'm giving my GPA to, and I'd want to know the exact reason
Right.
why I would want to know why their socioeconomic circumstances don't allow them to get better grades.
That'd be great, but we try to protect their confidentiality, and basically you have to trust in the system that the university is going to make the right choice on finding the right people. Who it's not because they're not studying, it's because pure socioeconomic reasons, things outside of their control, and they're going to help them. It's really hard for them to pinpoint it out to you, but you'll have the tacit knowledge that you have the confidence in the university.
Yeah. I guess I would say I wouldn't do this program.
Okay.
And not because I'm opposed to giving a fraction of my GPA to somebody else, but more because I don't trust the university as much as I would trust myself to give my a fraction of my GPA to the right person.
Right.
So I do think that maybe be a way for the university to open that option to the students who they're helping to say, I know they want to protect their confidentiality, but if the student themselves is okay with letting the other pure person know what their situation is, I think the university should provide that as an option if they're going to run this program.
Okay.
So I think that's my answer.
Good. What would you say to people in your position who would not want to give their GPA? Because this program is for the whole university. So if you agree upon it, we're going to put the whole university in this program, and there's going to be a fraction of the people who are going to say, when I keep my 4.0, I work hard for it, should they be allowed to keep it?
Yeah, I think they should, yeah. Because they might have the same, they might have the same viewpoints as I do. They might not trust the university. Regardless of their reasons, I do think that they should keep it, yes.
Well, because of the follow-up question, the ethical question becomes, how do you feel about progressive taxation? Do you think that people who are making much more than they need to survive should be taxed disproportionately more to help society, and the people who are in the lower levels of the economic sphere?
No, I believe in my views of flat tax system. As unrealistic as it is, I believe that everybody should be taxed equally. I think it's disincentivizing to tax people who make more because they make more, because somebody in their family worked hard enough to get to make more for their future generations. So I don't believe in a progressive tax system. No.
What would you say about to the people who say that these people they really need the money, they're not able to buy groceries? How do you say no to them? And especially when there's cases of people who didn't necessarily earn the wealth, maybe they won the lottery, or their family is wealthy and they got a lot of money. Well, what would you be your answer to people who say that we should have this type of progressive taxation system?
I don't think that our government necessarily allocates the money in the best way that they can to really help the people who are struggling. I do believe in helping the people who are struggling and who don't maybe have enough money for food or clothes or maybe even Christmas gifts, you know. I think that there's a better way that America could create a welfare system. I believe our current welfare system is inefficient, and that's probably the number one reason that I think it's all right to hold money back, just giving money to America to help out the poor people how they see fit. I do think that if you do have the influence, if you do have the ability to influence because you have a lot of finances, money is power, money you can have influence. I do think that you have some sort of responsibility to help the people in society. So I think that whether you want to start your own program or find a good program that does help other people, I would encourage that to people who make more money, or maybe have more money from their families or did win the lottery.
Right, but you wouldn't would you make it mandatory for people who say like won the lottery, who have a lot of money, that by law they should be given a fraction of their income?
I don't know.
No. It's really straightforward. I'm here to enroll you into a program in the university that basically takes GPA from people who are doing very well off, normally above like 3.5, and redistributes it to people who, for socioeconomic reasons, are not doing very well. Like they have the capacity, but they're working and studying at the same time, and they need some help. We're going to take a fraction of the GPA of people who are doing very well off, and give it to the people who are not doing very well to help them out. And the question is, would you be in favor of the system, and would you like to be part of it?
Difficult. Well, I mean, for me personally, I probably have a very low GPA, and part of that is probably because, like, my mom's single parent, so low socioeconomic status. But I mean, like, for people, I mean, it doesn't really seem fair to redistribute it. But at the same time, it's like, you should really help those who are not like less fortunate, but, less well off.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I guess the people you'd want to kind of target is those people who are better off than
no. It is for all students.
I just mean, like,
you're by entering into the program, you benefit. You're gonna take GPA from people who are doing very well off through the system, and they're gonna give it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I guess if you try hard enough, like, you kind of earn what you get. And I mean, I know there are so many other factors like involved, but I mean, you can't just give and take, It doesn't, I don't think it works out.
Got it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the current tax system where people who are doing very well off?
Oh, like taxing the rich?
Yes. Do you think that it's a fair system, or is it analogous
what's
to
funny?
GPA?
It's like, I think, it's so hard to say. I think it's...
Feel free to take your time.
Okay. I think it's okay. But it's just like, like, where else would you really get that money from?
For all intents and purposes, let's say you can't, right?
Right.
You have somebody who got their wealth and want to keep it. So the question is, should they be taxed away? Should be taken away from them?
I mean, like, okay, if you think like
it could be the other way, right? So go ahead.
It's enforced by like the government.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, the government's purpose is to kind of like help all the people, kind of like look after everyone. And I mean, if there's a particular marginalized part of society, and then it's not balanced. So like, I mean, if that's what you need to do, sometimes you just gotta take necessary measures like that.
Right, but pushing what's one step farther, I'm saying it's like this minority of really rich people who say they earn their wealth. Should they be allowed to keep it? And of course, some of them don't, some of them do. And the question is, should the government forcefully take their property away to to provide for people who are not doing very well off?
I have to say yes.
Yeah.
Even though
Why?
in an academic setting, I don't agree. I just feel it's such like a bigger issue for like everyone in regards to tax, whereas in school it's not everyone goes to college. It's smaller, so
Right. But I guess like
Why?
it's like primordially, it's like what would be significantly different in both situations? Well, what would be morally relevant that
Right.
both of them? One scenario is different than the other.
For grades, I mean, people, like, I guess students who come to college, they're studying, like, they choose to come here on their own and everything, and it's to do with, like, education and like, going out to get jobs, whereas for people who have a lot of money and are really rich, I guess, I mean, like, where is their money? I'm assuming they have a lot of money and, like, not all of it's going into, you know, like other expenses, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like entertainment.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
something
right.
like that. So
But
I think
you know, let's say let's say even with
if
that,
then they weren't.
even they say it's like I'm just gonna like I don't know burn it or like buy a yacht.
Right.
But they say, in principle, it is their money and they should be allowed to keep it because it's theirs. And you know, of course, you can divide it between people who earned it and people who just like got it because their parents died. So the question is.
Even in that case.
Even in that case. This
no,
staunch rich people don't want to part with the dollars.
I'm so biased. Like, it's not even funny. So I still would say yes.
Okay, why?
Why? I feel like maybe, if not, like, I'm not really sure about the morality of it, but I feel like if you're rich enough, like, I think you have a moral responsibility to the rest of the citizens.
Well, they say don't. That's something that you're imposing on them that you just clearly made up because you want to take their money.
Right.
What do you say, like?
I mean, I feel like sometimes you have to do what you need to do. I don't know, like, it's a complex issue, you know?
And I guess I'll just leave with you, with a last question. I know you have things to do. It's like, where would this moral responsibility come from? Like they work for their money.
Oh, I had onions. Sorry, go.
No, it's okay. Like they work for their money and they're saying, they should allow to be able to keep it and say they have no moral responsibility to give a fraction of their wealth to other people who have not earned it, and they're entitled to keep it because they work for it.
Right.
Let's take the best case scenario, right? Like somebody who actually worked for their money and struggle a lot, and they just want to spend it on trivialities. They don't want to give it any away because they don't think nobody else but themselves has an inherent right to that money.
Right. Well, that's really selfish, isn't it?
Absolutely, they're very selfish people. Yeah, they earned it. They have the right to be selfish in that sense.
Right.
But the question is, in that best case scenario, in which it's not inherited, people worked for it. Should they be allowed to keep it? And if they don't, where does this responsibility come from? Like, what is the difference between somebody saying, it's like, hey, you're making very well off, I'm not very well off, give me your money now, as opposed to somebody saying, it's like, you have a responsibility to give me your money.
Right. I don't even know.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine.
No, I mean, like, even in that sense, like, you can kind of break it down to, like, just, like, locally. Like, if you have, for example, like, homeless people or something, and you want to give them money, but, like, I know part of it's, like, psychological, but also you're just kind of like, well, I need my money to buy my groceries.
Right.
But then at the same time, it's like, well, these people don't even have money to have, like, anything.
Right.
It's like, you worked for your money, like, it goes to you first.
You can even go to the extremes, right? You could say there's people who are dying in hospitals because they lack an operation, and there's somebody who, is going to purchase some triviality.
I think, like, the problem with it is that I guess if you present this to someone who has a lot of money, it's just, like, from, like, the rich and the poor, or not the poor, like, people who have less money, I guess, it's, like, there's such, like, a separation, such a divide that it would be hard to convince them to do that, to feel like they have a moral responsibility.
But the question is, do they have a moral responsibility? And if they do...
But then it's, like, it's everyone's, that's, like, really individual,
Right,
So,
like, yeah, the people take their own responsibilities. Some people think...
I guess it would,
So.
if it's something that could be voted on, maybe. I mean, America is democratic.
Right, but like, you know, like many things are democratic. Like, you know,
Right.
let's say we want to take people's things away. You know,
But I mean, if it's for the common good, then why not?
well, you see, it's not for the common good, right? It's like for a fraction of the population. You have people who you're taking from, and you have the people who you're giving to.
But I mean, like, there's.
Well, it could help the economy overall. I mean, you could argue that, you know, there's more people, there's more money in the economy, and
Yeah, that too.
but they don't care about that. They say it's like, well, you know, might very well be the case that they'll be better off and buy maybe another yacht.
But I
they
feel
wanna
like
keep it.
if the wealth does get redistributed and it is helpful for those less fortunate, that it will also benefit those who have.
Yeah, they could, but they say, you know, they're fine. They're fine to keep their wealth.
Yeah.
Should there still, like, is there still an obligation to be giving it away against their will?
Sure.
Sure, there is.
Sure.
Where does that obligation come from?
I mean, it's like. Oh my God, this is such a hard concept.
It's okay, and you can take your time. If you don't want to stop here, you know, just let me know.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know. I just like, even if they say like it's not my role to do that. Like I just, like I said, like I really think it's for the greater good, no matter what.
Yeah,
like
no,
it goes beyond like you and all your money and all of that. You know, it's like a bigger picture.
For the greater good, you think it should be okay to take from people who don't want to part with their money?
Yes.
All right.